Hey everybody, I'm Jack Rita from Future Pastimes, and I'm one of the designers on the Chome and Richess expansion, which is the second expansion for the classic Dune board game from Gale Force 9. One of the variants in that expansion is something called leader skills. Now these came about because back when I played the Avalon Hill edition in the 1980s, and I saw the Mentat leader discs in that game, I thought they had special abilities. They did not. But ever since then, I've always wanted to tap into the different abilities and careers and stuff that the characters in the Dune universe have. And that's what Leader Skills does. It also adds another layer of depth to the game and to some of the decision-making that happens, so they can have a big impact on the game. At the start of the game, you're going to actually be dealt your treachery cards first, and that's because some of the leader skills work in tandem with types of treachery cards. So I wanted players to know which treachery card they had before they chose their leader skill. So after treachery cards, you're going to be dealt 2 leader skill cards, and you're going to pick one to assign to a specific leader disc. And you're going to put that leader disc and its skill out in front of your shield so everybody knows which of your leaders is a skilled leader and the particular leader skill that they have. Now, the leader skill card is going to give you an ongoing ability that all of your leaders can take place, or just another advantage that you have, but it will also have a specific advantage to that leader. And you're going to do your traders after you've chosen your leaders with their skills, because I think that will have an interesting effect too on which traders you're going to choose. If you are dealt a trader for somebody who has a skilled leader, it might be a lower numbered leader, and you would normally skip over that one when choosing who's going to be your trader. But now you might be like, maybe I do choose that one. And I like that added level of tension with the traders in the game. So let's take a look at a particular one, and I'm going to do a deep dive on each of the leader skills, one per week. We're going to start with the Bureaucrat. So the Bureaucrat, all of the leader skills are going to have an ongoing effect here at the top. That's either going to apply to all of your leaders or just be something else that you can do. And then there will be a specific thing that you can do when you have that specific leader in battle. And whenever you're in a battle, you can take the leader that is in front of your shield and put it behind your shield so that the opponent doesn't know whether or not you're going to use that leader in the battle. But if it had a leader skill card that can affect your other leaders, that portion of the leader skill is turned off. So they have to be out front for you to be able to benefit from it. So you're doing a trade-off there of whether or not you want the players that you're fighting against to know, I'm definitely not going to be using this leader in the battle, but now whichever other leader I use may have another benefit. That is not necessarily going to be the case with the Bureaucrat. So the ongoing effect, as long as your Bureaucrat is out in front, is that once per phase, if another player makes a payment to any player other than you of at least 5 spice, you may force 2 of that spice to go to the spice bank. So let's talk about what that means. Well, that's going to affect economy factions like the Emperor and the Spacing Guild and the Tlilaxu, because those are the factions that are receiving payments from other players. So the Emperor receives payments for treachery cards, and Spacing Guild gets payments for shipping, etc. These factions tend to stockpile a lot of spice, and so this has a small impact. It's not a major one. It's only once per phase, but it does cut down on how much spice that faction is taking in. And you're really only going to want to choose the Bureaucrat as a leader skill for one of your leaders if you have at least one other economic faction in the game, presumably not you. Although you can be an economic faction, but you don't want to be the only one. You want to make sure that the Emperor and the Spacing Guild are in the game if you're potentially using expansion factions in the game as well. So it's just a small way to shave off a little bit of the spice that these factions are making, because sometimes it gets pretty absurd how much spice they're able to get. Now, the Bureaucrat, if let's say that I'm the Bene Gesserit and I have assigned this skill to Princess Irulan, if I have Princess Irulan behind my shield and I want to put her into a battle, she's going to have this effect here. And it's important to note that if the leader is killed in the battle, then the skill goes away. So there's no like, well, at least your skill lived on. No, the leader has to survive. So when this leader is in battle, your opponent subtracts 1 from their battle total, their total strength in that battle, for each stronghold they occupy. And this will not count advisors, for example. So, and that can have a pretty big impact. So it's strongholds they occupy, not necessarily control. So if you're, let's say that again, I've got Princess Irulan, and I'm in a battle against the Emperor, and the Emperor is in 2 or maybe even 3 strongholds. They may be going for the win. When this battle takes place, if the Emperor is in 3 of those strongholds, they're going to have a -3 to their total strength overall. And that can be a pretty big edge in battle. So the Bureaucrat can have a huge impact in a battle when the other players are maybe going for the win. That faction could be in 4 or even more strongholds. They might be all over the place, especially if you've got extra strongholds like the Ixian Mobile Stronghold or Jakarudu, or you're using the optional Shield Wall stronghold rules. I've seen games where a faction has been in 5 strongholds at the same time, and they don't necessarily have to be in battles. They're just how many strongholds they occupy. And that would not count tech tokens, just so for the record. So the Bureaucrat, you pick the right time to use this particular leader in a battle. It can be a big deal. Of course, the other players know that. So that you may be giving up. If you're the Bene Gesserit, they know they're dealing with the 5-strength leader, but if you've got a different leader in there, that could enter into it. But I like that idea. They're like, oh, they brought that leader behind the shield, and they're making it look like they're going to use that leader in a battle. The Bureaucrat, there's no effect here that it's for the other leaders. So you could bring the Bureaucrat behind the shield in every battle and keep the other players guessing, because there's no penalty for you with that skilled leader. Some of the other leader skills, they will have more of an impact if you've brought your leader behind your shield and then didn't use it in the battle. So the Bureaucrat, yeah, bring that one behind the shield every time and keep the other players guessing. But then at the right time, especially if you have a good reason to believe that your leader will survive the battle, or it's just a desperate measure, and you're like, we got to have that impact. It's going to be a -1 or 2 or 3 or even possibly more, depending on how many strongholds your opponent is occupying when this battle takes place. So that's how the Bureaucrat works, and a general look at leader skills. And like I said, we'll be doing one of these a week as we take a closer look at each of the different skills. If you have any questions about the Bureaucrat or leader skills in general, let me know in the comments. That's it for this one, everybody. Thanks for watching, and we will see you again soon.